To clear the path for Ryan's success, Olivia climbed into my bed for a passionate night together. I thought my genuine feelings had finally won her over, but I never imagined that the very next day, she would accuse me of rape. I was framed and spent 5 years in prison, while Ryan stole my design portfolio, using it to build a multi-million-dollar fortune. 5 years later, I was released. Fearing I would retaliate against Ryan, Olivia showed up with the child from our night together and pressured me into marrying her. She wanted me to take responsibility, to keep me tethered to her side. After I accepted her proposal, I smiled. We had a rushed wedding. Olivia seemed to be in a hurry, asking for nothing and making no demands. She simply showed up in a wedding dress and married me. Oh, and trailing behind her, holding the train of her dress, was a little boy named Hayden Peterson. Olivia claimed he was my son, the result of our one night together 5 years ago. She said that after I was imprisoned, she had nowhere to turn, so Ryan stepped in to help. He put the child on his birth certificate and even gave him his last name. I wasn't particularly shocked to hear it. After all, this was the woman who had sent me to prison. Nothing she did could seem outrageous to me anymore. 5 years behind bars, branded a rapist, I went through hell in there. I never imagined a place could exist where every single second felt like an eternity. During my first year, the old-timers took turns beating me every day. They knew I was in for rape and despised me for it. So they were all eager to teach me a lesson. I ate meals tainted with filth, was frequently burned with cigarettes, and lay awake tormented by pain in the dead of night. No one knew what I endured. I was so desperate I wanted to die, but even death was a luxury I couldn't afford. By my second year, I had wasted away to skin and bones, with no will to live. I had to be revived 4 or 5 times just to keep me breathing. A guard made an exception and arranged for a therapist to see me. And for the first time, I had someone to listen as I poured out the entire story of how Olivia framed me. When the old-timers heard my story, their attitude toward me began to shift. Life slowly became more bearable. It was like a ray of sunshine finally piercing the darkness, but it could never completely erase the shadows of my past. I had no evidence to overturn the conviction. The fact was, I had been tricked into sleeping with Olivia, and they found my DNA on her. As long as she stuck to her story, I was defenseless. Nothing I said could clear my name. Eventually, I came to accept it. After 5 years of suffering, I was finally free. I never imagined I would end up married to Olivia, let alone have a son. The whole situation felt surreal. Our wedding was simple, with fewer than 5 guests. Everyone was wary of me. The ex-con, the rapist, avoiding me like the plague. They shot Olivia looks of pity and compassion, as if I had forced her into this marriage. I just smiled without a word, my calmness unsettling. When the small crowd dispersed, the house was left in a state of disarray. I savored the rare moment of peace, quietly cleaning up the mess in the living room. As I approached the bedroom door, I overheard Olivia and her son speaking in triumphant tones. "Hayden, wasn't I right? All I have to do is act a little sweet, and your dad will do whatever I say. I know your father so well. The man has no pride because he's so in love with me. He even did 5 years for me. Whether he loves me or hates me, I'm the only one on his mind." Hayden grunted, clearly displeased. Peeking through the crack in the door, I saw him counting the cash I'd given him in a wedding card. He was obviously thrilled with the money, but his face was a mask of disgust. "He's not my dad. His name is Lucas. I am Hayden Peterson. My dad is Ryan. Mom, are you drunk?" Olivia immediately started scolding him. "Didn't I tell you? You have to call him Dad to his face. What's wrong with having another father? He'll spoil you and give you more money. You like that, don't you? And besides, this dad of yours comes from a wealthy family. He's got a huge inheritance coming to him, and eventually, all that money will be yours, right?" Thanks to Olivia's lifelong focus on money, young Hayden was already obsessed with wealth. The moment he heard about my inheritance, his eyes lit up. He was surprisingly mature for his age. After counting his money, he went to his own room, leaving the master bedroom for Olivia and me. I waited until late to go into the bedroom. Olivia was still awake, and she coiled around my waist like a snake. The moment she touched me, The memories from 5 years ago flooded back, sending an icy chill through my entire body. It was a feeling of utter despair, like being plunged into a bottomless ocean, suffocating me. I recoiled, pulling away from her touch. "It's been a long day. Let's get some rest," I said. Olivia pouted, her eyes glancing down. "Don't you want to? It's been 5 years since you've been with a woman." Her seductive tone was disorienting. She had used that same voice to deceive me 5 years ago, making me believe I'd found true love. I'd had a crush on her for 4 years, only for it to end like this. She didn't know that 5 years in prison had taught me the art of restraint. The special treatment from the old-timers during my first year had left me with serious physical issues. I had lost all desire. Seeing my hesitation, Olivia mistook it for shyness and reached out to undress me. I made an excuse about having work to do and left her alone in the bedroom. I heard her pound the mattress in frustration, but she kept quiet, still trying to figure me out. I ended up sleeping on the couch. Just before dawn, Olivia tried to cover me with a blanket, and the movement startled me awake. I shot her an angry glare, and she jumped back, frightened. "I'm sorry, Lucas," she stammered. "I was just trying to give you a blanket. I didn't mean to wake you." I coldly tossed the blanket aside. 5 years in prison, I never got a full night's sleep. The slightest noise wakes me. "You'd better stay away from me when I'm sleeping," I warned, "or I might react instinctively." Olivia froze, a flicker of fear in her eyes. But this was the path she had chosen. She was married to me now, and she would have to live with it. "It's okay," she said, her voice soft and affectionate as she leaned in and took my arm. "We're married now. I can handle anything that comes with being with you." For a second, I was stunned. I hadn't felt that kind of warmth in so long. But her next words shattered the illusion instantly. "Lucas, we're married now. Let's just forget the past. From now on, it'll be you and me looking out for each other. And since we're a couple, you can't keep secrets from me," she continued. "I heard your father left you an inheritance. You get it now that you're married, right? Why don't you withdraw it and let me invest it for us?" She pretended to be asking for my opinion, but it was clear she had married me for the inheritance. It was a brilliant move on her part. Protect Ryan and get her hands on my money all at once. No one could say she wasn't clever. In her eyes, my love and my pain meant nothing. She had no idea that while I was locked away, both of my parents had died from grief and worry. Their bodies remained at the morgue for years, waiting for my release so I could finally have them cremated. My younger sister was sent to live with relatives, who then moved out of the country, deliberately cutting all ties. I never saw her again. Olivia had single-handedly destroyed my happy family of 4. And yet, she spoke of the past as if it were nothing. How could she say those words? I stared at her, a storm of rage churning inside me. My eyes drifted to her neck, and it took every ounce of my self-control not to wrap my hand around it and squeeze. I forced a smile, feigning affection. "Is that right? What kind of investment? How much do you need? Tell me about it." "Oh," she began. Olivia stomped her foot playfully. "You don't need to worry about the details. Ryan and I have it all planned out. He's about to invest in a new energy sector. He just needs the capital. Lucas, I heard your dad left you $30 million. Is that true?" At the mention of $30 million, her eyes lit up. I nodded, confirming it. "Yes, probably more than that by now. It's been collecting interest in the bank for years. So it's likely grown by a few million." "That's even better." Olivia was practically bouncing with excitement. "Just give me the 30+ million, and Ryan and I will invest it. We're a little family of 3. We can just sit back and watch the money grow. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" Seeing how happy she was, a smile spread across my own face. Thinking I had agreed, she grabbed my hand to pull me out the door. "To the bank." I yanked my hand away and looked at her with pure contempt. What happened? Did Ryan already blow through the millions he made off my designs? I sneered. "I do 5 years in prison, and the moment I'm out, you two are back to bleed me dry? Why in the world would I give you and Ryan $30 million? Let's say sleeping with you 5 years ago cancels out that debt. But now, 5 years later, you're like a pair of worn-out shoes. What makes you think you're worth $30 million? My words left Olivia speechless. She stared at my cold expression, a look of fear creeping into her eyes. She had always seen me as a pathetic loser who would do anything for her. I fell for her trap 5 years ago, and when I so easily agreed to marry her now, she assumed I was still the same fool. But this time, she had miscalculated. "Lucas, please don't look at me like that," she whimpered. "You're scaring me. I know you're still upset about what happened 5 years ago, and I know I was wrong. That's why I had Hayden for you. The truth is, I've always loved you. I was just so young and naive 5 years ago. It was my first time, and I was scared. In a panic, I just did what I saw in the movies and called the police. I didn't mean anything by it. It was all a misunderstanding. Lucas, you have to believe me. I love you. What I did 5 years ago was just a mistake made in a moment of panic. It was all a big misunderstanding." Her shouting and crying woke Hayden in the other room. Seeing his mother in tears, he charged at me. "You bastard. You rapist. Stop bullying my mom, or I'll make you pay." Olivia rushed over to intervene, still putting on a tearful performance. "Stop it, Hayden. You can't talk to your father like that." Hayden glared at me and kicked me hard in the knee. His expression, his temper, he was the spitting image of Ryan. I couldn't see a trace of myself in him. "I'll kick you to death, you monster," he yelled. "I already called my dad, Ryan. He's on his way over right now." The two of them, mother and son, put on quite a show for me. A short while later, Ryan burst in furious. Olivia, now frantic, turned on Hayden. "Hayden, don't you know he's been in prison? He's a hardened criminal. What if he beats your father, Ryan, to a pulp? Did you forget everything I told you last night? Why would you call Ryan? You're just making things worse." Hearing her words, I let out a bitter, self-mocking laugh. Even now, all she could think about was protecting Ryan. I angrily threw the door open, hoping things would escalate. Ryan stormed in, fists clenched, and started shouting in my living room. "Lucas, are you even human?" he roared. "You're the one who screwed up, so why are you taking it out on Olivia? She only married you out of pity. She went through hell to have her child, endured 5 years of judgment from everyone, and she never once complained. She did it all for you. And what do you do the moment you're out? You treat her like this. Are you a man or an animal?" I looked at the two of them, a perfectly matched pair of shameless liars, and almost laughed out loud. I swept the glass off the coffee table, shattering it on the floor, and finally unleashed my rage on them. "And what does that make you two? You conspired to send me to prison for 5 years. You stole my designs to build your fortune, stole my luck, and ruined my life. What right do you have to stand here and lecture me? Don't think for a second I don't know whose bastard Hayden really is. You think you can pin him on me? Make me raise the product of your shameless affair? Do you really think I'm powerless against you? Do you really think you can get away with this forever?" Hearing me call him a bastard, Hayden ran, crying into Ryan's arms, clinging to him and yelling, "Daddy." Olivia tried to smooth things over, but the moment she opened her mouth, I felt sick. "Lucas, don't get so worked up. You got it all wrong. It's not what you think," she said. "You're being paranoid. Maybe those 5 years in prison did something to your mind. But don't worry, I won't hold it against you. I'll even go with you to see a doctor." I was done pretending. "If you feel so sorry for her," I said bluntly, "then we can get a divorce. You could take both of these problems off my hands." I was just wondering where to get rid of them. Ryan feigned outrage, but I could see a smile he couldn't suppress. "Lucas, is marriage a joke to you? You want a divorce the day after the wedding? What about Olivia's reputation? How is she supposed to face anyone after this? You call yourself a man? Don't you know that as your wife, Olivia is legally entitled to half of everything you own? Your inheritance, this house, all of it. If you want her gone, you'll have to give her half your assets." And there it was, the real reason for this whole charade. They had been waiting for me to walk right into their trap, but they had no idea I had laid a trap of my own. They were so eager that they revealed their entire plan the day after the wedding, not even giving me a chance to play along. Olivia could barely contain her smirk, but she still managed to squeeze out a few tears and put on a pitiful act. "Lucas, I'm your legal wife now. We're married. How can you just throw me out? But the law is the law. Everything you have is now our shared property. If you kick me out, I get half. And Hayden gets a share too. But she added, if you want to stay married, I'm fine with that. Just give me the inheritance to invest, and you won't have to worry about a thing. Their scheming was so obvious you could hear it from space. Did they really think I was that stupid? Their eyes gleamed with triumphant greed. They were being polite for now, but they might as well have had their hands around my throat, demanding the money. I stared at them with a look of shock, letting them enjoy their victory for a moment before I burst out laughing. Settling back on the couch and crossing my legs, I said, "You two really are a perfect match. You screwed me over once, and you thought you could do it again? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint you. Not only is Olivia not getting a dime of my money, she's actually on the hook for my debt. Effective the day we signed the marriage license, all of my assets were placed in trust. They're prenuptial, so you can't touch them. And Ryan, that debt I mentioned, I used it to short every stock you own. I've been your shadow on Wall Street. Every move you make, I'm there to counter it. I'm determined to bring you down, even if it ruins me too. Besides," I added with a shrug, "I'm not the one who has to pay it back. As my wife, the debt is legally Olivia's." At this, they stared at each other, completely stunned. Seeing my confident smirk, Olivia assumed I was bluffing. "Lucas, you're joking, right? What are you talking about? I don't understand. You put your assets in a trust? Why didn't you tell me? You kept this from me. This is so hurtful. Did you ever really want to marry me? You said you loved me, but you were planning against me the whole time." Every word was delivered with a look of sincere heartbreak, tears welling in her eyes. 5 years ago, her every expression could control my emotions. Now, everything about her just filled me with disgust. The love I once had for her had become the weapon she used against me. Why did she have to question me? Beside her, Ryan remained silent. He knew I wasn't bluffing. He quickly pulled out his phone and started checking the market. He knew exactly what I was talking about. For months, a rival investor had been mirroring his every move, relentlessly driving his portfolio into the ground. Not only that, a new competitor had emerged in his industry, one that seemed to anticipate his every strategy and consistently undercut him. Price, service, quality, warranties, they beat him on every front. His business was in a nosedive, bleeding money. He had built his fortune on my stolen designs 5 years ago and had coasted ever since, never producing anything new. He was exhausted from trying to stop the bleeding, which is why they were so desperate for my $30 million. Now, realizing he'd walked right into my trap, Ryan completely fell apart. All his smug cleverness dissolved into pure, disbelieving rage. "This is impossible. How do you know all this?" he yelled. "Stocks, investments, business strategy, how? You just got out of prison. How could you plan all this so quickly?" Suspicion dawned on his face. He turned and, without a moment's hesitation, slapped Olivia hard across the face. She stumbled back, stunned. "You hit me." "Damn right I hit you. Tell me, were you visiting Lucas in prison behind my back? Did you tell him everything about my business? You sent him to prison 5 years ago, and you've been whining about feeling guilty ever since. You must have developed feelings for him after that night, didn't you? You're so two-faced, you pathetic slut. You put him away, and then you sneak off to visit him. You're disgusting." Ryan was completely losing it, his face red and beaded with sweat. Olivia clutched her cheek, tears streaming down her face, a mix of hurt, anger, and sadness. "Ryan, how can you say that? After everything I've done for you, you know how I feel. I did everything for you. I framed Lucas, sent him to prison for 5 years, and gave you his designs. It was all for you. How can you turn on me now?" Hayden ran to his mother's side, hugging her protectively. "Daddy Ryan, how could you hit my mom?" the boy cried. "You're not supposed to hit women. You promised you'd love her forever. How could you do this?" "Bob." Ryan spat on the floor, completely unhinged. He paced around the living room like a caged animal. "It's your fault. This is all your fault. You've ruined me. If you hadn't come up with this stupid plan to marry Lucas, my company would still be fine. You walked right into his trap, and you dragged me down with you. 5 years. I spent 5 years building that company, and you destroyed it." In his despair, Ryan snapped. He lunged at Olivia, grabbing her by the throat and shaking her violently. His face was a twisted mask of rage, his eyes bloodshot, and he kept screaming at her. He kept screaming about his 5 years of hard work, all gone because of her. It was laughable. What hard work? He stole my luck, my life, my future. Everything he had was stolen from me, and it was long past time for him to pay it back. Olivia was finally seeing Ryan for who he truly was, and their twisted partnership was imploding. It had just taken her far too long to see the truth, and by now, he had already ruined her life. As I watched Olivia's face turn purple in Ryan's grip, I felt nothing. In fact, a part of me wanted to applaud. I had felt that same brush with death countless times during my 5 years inside. Did she have any idea? With the last of her strength, she reached a trembling hand toward me, silently pleading for help. Hayden saw it too and started beating on Ryan's legs, but Ryan kicked the boy away without a second thought. The boy landed at my feet, crying. He crawled over and wrapped his small arms around my leg. "Daddy, Daddy, please help my mom. She's going to die. Please help her. Daddy, please save my mom. I'm begging you. Daddy, Daddy." He kept repeating the word, his tears and snot soaking my pants. And for a moment, my heart wavered. But the feeling was gone as quickly as it came. I shoved the boy away and landed a hard kick on Ryan. "That's enough. If you're going to kill each other, do it outside. Don't die in my house. Now, get out. Everything you've said has been live streaming for the whole country to see. Your 5-year affair, your conspiracy, the truth you've hidden for 5 years. It's all out now. The police will be here for you shortly." While they stood there in shock, I threw them out. Olivia kept pounding on the door, begging, so I called building security and had them removed. 3 days later, Ryan's company was seized by the authorities. 2 weeks after that, what little was left of his bankrupt company was transferred to my name. And my design portfolio, the one that had been stolen for 5 years, finally had my name on it again. A month later, Ryan was sentenced. He was convicted of profiting from intellectual property theft, with a sentence based on 5 years of illegal earnings. He was heading back to prison. Worried he might have it too easy, I paid a visit to some of the old-timers still inside, asking them to take good care of Ryan for me. When I got back to my apartment, Olivia and Hayden were waiting for me outside my door. Olivia had clearly coached him. The moment he saw me, Hayden ran over, crying, and threw his arms around me, calling me daddy over and over. She watched with that same look of tender affection, trying to appeal to the love I once had for her. I saw right through her act. I gently pushed Hayden away and stepped aside. "You've got the wrong guy," I said. "I'm not your father. Don't call me that." But Olivia persisted, urging the boy to keep calling me daddy. "What do you mean, Lucas? He is your son," she insisted. "I got pregnant after that night 5 years ago. If he's not yours, whose could he be?" She said it with such conviction. She might have even started to believe it herself. We did have that one night, and for a time, I even wondered if Hayden could be mine. But I had already secretly taken a sample of his hair and had a DNA test done. The results were, Hayden and I were not related. That night 5 years ago, Olivia had slept with me, and she had also slept with Ryan. She was playing the odds, a 50-50 gamble. As long as I was in prison, the child was Ryan's. The moment I got out, he became mine. It was a win-win for her. Unfortunately, even with her on-air confession, I couldn't get my conviction overturned. The physical evidence was real, the act had occurred, and I had already served my time. The most I could do was sue her for damages. I had used our marriage to take out a massive loan, and now she was legally responsible for half of it. It was only about $8 million, but for her, it was an impossible sum. With nowhere else to turn, she came back to me with Hayden in tow. She tried to appeal to my emotions, hoping I'd give her another chance. I was wrong, Lucas. I truly know I was wrong. Can't we just put the past behind us and start over? I know you still have feelings for me, and I've always had feelings for you. Ryan just got in the way and caused all these misunderstandings. But don't worry, I'll never have anything to do with him again. It will just be me and Hayden with you, our little family of 3. We can be happy, can't we? Happy? Start over. I couldn't believe she had the audacity to say those words. I scoffed, my face a mask of contempt. "Olivia, you've lied to me twice already. Are you going to try for a third?" "I'm not lying. I'm not." I swear it, she cried. Lucas, please, just give me one more chance. I love you, I really do. She raised her hand as if taking an oath, desperate to prove her sincerity. She decided to swear on Hayden's life. I swear everything I'm saying is true, and I will never lie to you again. If I do, may Hayden get hit by a car and die a horrible death. Lucas, you know Hayden is my life. He's my flesh and blood, my everything. Swearing on his life has to prove I'm sincere, right? I just shook my head. There was only one thing left to say. Let's get a divorce and stop bothering me. Olivia begged me, through her tears, not to leave her. I said nothing, just called the elevator and slipped away while she was distracted. I wandered aimlessly for hours before ending up at my parents' grave. I leaned against the headstone and just sat there with them all afternoon. No one could possibly understand what I was feeling. I had my revenge, and I had taken back everything that was mine. But I could never get back those 5 lost years. I took out my phone and sent a prepared medical report to my lawyer, instructing him to file for divorce. It was a report on my reproductive health, confirming that I was incapable of having children, a direct result of my time in prison. It was my guaranteed ticket out of this marriage, an escape plan I'd had in place for a while. With everything arranged, I headed home. It was dark when I arrived, but the lights in my apartment were on. The lock had been changed to a digital keypad, and none of my usual codes worked. When Hayden opened the door, I realized Olivia had moved herself and the boy into my apartment. She'd even had the locks changed without my permission, completely taking over. Hayden looked miserable, but he still forced himself to call me Dad. I could tell Olivia had rehearsed this with him, trying to create a scene of a happy family to soften me up. Olivia's eyes were red and swollen from crying, but she greeted me with a smile and a table full of food. She smiled and called out, "Lucas, come and eat. I made all your favorites." The apartment was filled with the smell of a home-cooked meal and the sound of a simmering pot on the stove. It was a scene of warmth and life I hadn't experienced in 5 years. I walked over in a daze and stood numbly beside the table. God knows how many times I had dreamed of this exact moment. 5 years ago, my only birthday wish was to marry Olivia, to share every meal, every season, and my whole life with her. Now that day was finally here, but I felt no joy. Seeing me frozen, Hayden tactfully brought me a bowl of rice, holding it with both hands. "Daddy, eat," he said. His voice was small and childish, but his eyes were filled with fear. I looked at him for a long moment before taking the bowl. Olivia, thinking I was finally softening, rushed over with a hopeful, fawning smile. "Lucas, eat while it's hot. The soup is almost ready," she said cheerfully. The next second, I upended the bowl onto the table and smashed it to the floor. "Get out!" I slammed my fist on the table, shaking with rage. I noticed then that she had cleaned the entire apartment, making it spotless. But the 2 ceramic urns I kept in the living room were empty. Their contents were gone. I roared, shoving Olivia to the floor. "What was in those urns? The ashes. Where are they?" She looked up at me, trembling, and Hayden cowered in the corner. I threw them out," she stammered. "The place was a mess, and the urns were dusty, so I was just cleaning up." In that instant, the despair came rushing back. I could barely control the urge to kill her. "Those are my parents' ashes," I screamed. "What right did you have to touch them? They were dead for years, waiting for me to get out so I could finally cremate them. I just wanted to keep them with me. And you destroyed that. You destroyed my only hope. Who let you in here? You broke in and changed my locks. Who do you think you are, making decisions in my home? Take your bastard son and get out of my sight." My rage shattered the peaceful scene. Hayden was huddled in a corner, sobbing, while Olivia tried to comfort him, both of them now in tears. "Lucas, I'm your wife," she cried. "We're married. What more do you want from me? I've admitted I was wrong. I'm trying to change. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to do something nice for you. Can't you see I'm trying? Can't you see how sorry I am? How can you be so cold and heartless? How can you be so cruel to a child? Hayden and I are trying so hard to please you. Can't you see how desperate and sad we are?" I looked back at them and could only laugh at the absurdity. "Olivia, stop testing my patience and stay out of my sight. You sent me to prison for 5 years. You have no idea what I went through in there, so don't you dare ask for my forgiveness. I don't care if you're pitiful or desperate. That has nothing to do with me. And when my parents' ghosts come to haunt you, your fate will have nothing to do with me either. You are both despicable." Amid her sobs and protests, I threw the divorce papers and my medical report on the table in front of her. She glanced through them, her eyes widening in shock when she saw the medical report. I told her plainly, 5 years ago, I went to prison as a convicted rapist. I was tortured so badly I wished I was dead. It left me with permanent damage, with scars and pain I'll carry for the rest of my life. This is all your fault, Olivia. You're the one who destroyed any love I ever had for you. Marrying you was just a means to an end. Now we're even. Stay out of my life." She broke down completely, refusing to sign the papers, saying she could never pay off such a massive debt on her own with Hayden to care for. I smiled and suggested she find another man to trick, but she just spouted more lies about how she would love only me and spend the rest of her life making it up to me. I'd heard enough. I called security to escort them out, then called a locksmith and had every lock in the apartment changed. I thought that would be the end of it, but 2 weeks later, she was back. It was a rainy afternoon. I was packing my bags, planning to move to another state for a job. I didn't want to stay in this city any longer and had already listed the apartment for sale. Suddenly, I heard a loud thud from the balcony. I went to investigate and was shocked to find Olivia standing there. She was soaking wet from the rain, looking haggard and desperate. I have no idea how she convinced my neighbor to let her do it, but she had climbed over from the adjacent balcony. "Are you insane?" I asked, stunned. "We're on the 16th floor. I am insane. I never thought I'd do something this crazy," she said with a bitter smile. "Lucas, I came to tell you that I won't sign the divorce papers. I really do love you. It's not about anything else now. I just want to spend the rest of my life making up for what I did. I want to be with you. You probably think this is about the money, about securing a future for me and Hayden. I'm just pretending to love you so I can cling to you. But I really do love you. When a woman is willing to commit her life to a man, to marry him without a second thought, there has to be love there. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just asking for a chance to show you my heart is true, to show you that I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, loving you," she confessed with such sincerity. Her eyes filled with a tenderness that looked just like unrequited love. She said she didn't expect anything in return, just a chance to prove her love for me. For a moment, my mind went blank. I didn't know what to think, but I felt no love, only an ice-cold hatred that ran deeper than it had 5 years ago. Just then, Olivia's phone rang. It wasn't on speakerphone, but in the quiet, empty apartment, the voice echoed so loudly I could hear every word. "Is this Ms. Olivia Miller? Do you know Hayden Peterson? Are you his legal guardian? You need to come to Chicago General Hospital immediately. Hayden Peterson has been in a serious accident. He's lost a lot of blood, and his lower body was crushed by a vehicle. His condition is critical." "Hello, Ms. Miller. Can you hear me? Hayden's condition is extremely dangerous. The pediatric specialists are all here, but we need your signature to proceed with the surgery." Olivia stood frozen, staring at me, completely lost. But my mind was crystal clear. I saw right through her lies, her so-called sincerity. "Do you remember?" I asked her. "You swore on Hayden's life. You said that if you were lying to me, he would get hit by a car and die a horrible death. God is always watching. When you lie and deceive people enough, you get punished. I don't think Hayden is going to make it. His death will be on you. This is the price of your sins, paid by your son. Does it hurt? Do you feel helpless? Good. That's a feeling I've experienced more times than I can count. It's about time you had a taste of it." I mocked her, my words dripping with sarcasm. And as she collapsed in a heap of helpless sobs, I threw her out. The next day, I moved out and left the apartment in the hands of a real estate agent. I was finally free of Olivia, and I began a new, solitary life. Many years later, I saw Olivia again, but she didn't recognize me. She had cried herself blind and was using a white cane to navigate, shakily selling gardenias on a crowded street corner. Around her neck hung a laminated organ donor card bearing Hayden Peterson's name. I learned from a nearby street vendor that her son hadn't survived the accident. She had donated his organs, which had gone on to save 3 other lives. And Olivia was left all alone, just barely surviving. I was satisfied with this ending. For her, a life like this was a far greater punishment than death. If it weren't for her greed and her foolishness, she never would have ended up this way. She had brought it all upon herself.